play it any louder, then it's getting shut down.
My name's Waffles, and I'm a government whistleblower turned political commentator, and this is the last 24 hours in the news. Today is November 1st, 2025. It is 11:05 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Here are the top U.S. news highlights for the past 24 hours. Emergency Supreme Court petition, Copyright Office removal. The White House filed an emergency application at SCOTUS seeking permission to remove the Register of Copyrights after lower courts blocked a unilateral firing. This is an immediate constitutional test of the presidential removal power over independent agency posts. State litigation over SNAP funds. A multi-state coalition reported as 25 states has sued to force USDA to release contingency SNAP payments for November. Courts are receiving emergency motions arguing withholding will cause imminent harm to millions of beneficiaries. Federal Quick Reaction Guard posture advancing. The Pentagon White House plan to stand up Quick Reaction National Guard units, state contingents trained for rapid civil disturbance response, is moving into implementation and drawing legal and political scrutiny for the domestic military posture it creates. Monitor state adjutant generals for readiness and opt-ins. Court fights over in-country deployments remain live. Appeals and rehearings in cases over federal deployments in U.S. cities like Chicago, Portland, and others continue. Judicial orders could flip operational posture quickly. No new large-scale troop mobilization was announced overnight, but mobilization risk remains active. Domestic extremist threat environment. Federal briefings continue to list far-right and militia-style threats as principal domestic risks. No verified new mass attack incident in the last 24 hours. The administration's use of funding leverage, pausing and conditioning federal funds continues to be used as a policy lever and is the subject of lawsuits and political pushback. The SNAP pause is the leading example. Policy shifts in institutional power. If SCOTUS intervenes favorably for the administration on the Copyright Office petition, it would expand removal authority and could accelerate personnel changes across quasi-independent agencies. The downstream effects on rulemaking, enforcement, and service delivery. Immediate well-being risk from funding pauses. Court action on SNAP and other funding disputes could mean rapid changes to benefit flows and provider reimbursements, posing near-term risk to food security and healthcare cash flows in impacted states. Regional outings and utility strain. Houston area still recovering. Large outage events reported earlier this week are still in restoration mode. In parts of Texas, utility and municipal briefings remain the primary source for current status and public safety impacts. Hospitals, traffic signals, and refrigeration. Emergency market signals. Recent crude inventory draws pushed oil prices higher over the last 24 hours. Watch regional pump prices and inflationary pass through to consumers. Measles vaccine preventable diseases monitoring active clusters. State health pages updated in the last 24 to 48 hours show localized measles clusters. Specific counties reporting new cases. CDC and county DPH pages remain the primary time-stamped sources for case counts and school exclusion rules. No new national emergency declared in the past 24 hours. Healthcare funding pressure. Litigation and funding pauses tied to the shutdown may affect Medicaid and hospital reimbursements in some states. Monitor hospital CFO statements and county public health budgets for immediate impact. Strategic arms shock. Pentagon told to resume nuclear testing process. The president instructed the Pentagon to restart U.S. nuclear weapons testing processes, a major strategic shift that has immediate diplomatic and alliance implications. This is a top international shock item with near-term fallout. Trade and alliance moves still driving diplomacy on the trade front. Recent summit diplomacy, China, Korea, Japan, continues to have U.S. economic and strategic implications. Follow implementation details for tariffs, rare earth access, and commodity purchase pledges. SCOTUS emergency petition copyright office filed impending urgent Manhattan criminal case. Appeal filings remain active. Trump's legal team filed and updated appeals in the New York case with recent filing windows. Appeal track continues. Multiple funding and deployment suits, SNAP grant conditioning, guard deployment challenges continue to produce emergency motions and orders. Top shocks the presidential directive to resume nuclear weapons testing processes. White House emergency SCOTUS petition seeking removal authority for the Copyright Office. Both are high impact and time sensitive. No newly reported incidents of lewd conduct from officials in the past 24 hours. Senate Intelligence Committee row over secret military briefings. According to reporting yesterday, the administration carried out a lethal strike on a smuggling vessel allegedly linked to a narcotics cartel. Probably just a fishing boat, based on how this is going. People in Venezuela are upset that the fishermen are going missing. Only Republicans received the classified briefing in regards to a lethal strike that was carried out on a random boat. And only Republicans received a briefing on this yesterday. Democrats, led by Mark Warner, publicly warned the exclusion undermines Congress's war powers oversight function. Why it matters, it raises serious governance and civil rights questions about the use of military force, transparency, and the potential for domestic policy spillover. You don't know if the people in the boat are smuggling drugs if you bomb the fucking boat and send it to the bottom of the ocean before looking to see what's in it. Quiet filings by local housing authorities and nonprofits challenging new federal grant conditions. Smaller complaints have been filed in federal district courts where housing providers claim the administration is conditioning access to HUD disaster aid or infrastructure grants on compliance with certain federal demands. Not widely reported yet. Why this matters, these suits may delay or reduce funding for housing infrastructure in lower income communities, affecting citizen well-being and local budgets. Regional water utility advisory issued in parts of the upper Midwest, citing risk of freeze and thaw damage ahead of sharp overnight drop. Some county level utilities quietly posted advisories overnight, pre-public news, due to the cold snap risk. Early infrastructure stress warning that may lead to increased water main breaks, pipe freeze events, and local disruptions relevant for consumer and infrastructure beat. Private sector cybersecurity warning issued to local governments in a Midwestern state under the radar about imminent ransomware threat. A regional cybersecurity firm alerted several town governments that they observed indicators of a ransomware campaign targeting municipal networks late last night. Details are not yet publicly reported. Municipal cyber attacks constitute civil risk events, disruption of city services, utilities, police, dispatch, emergency operations, and is a rising concern that may escalate quickly. New manufacturing supplier survey. Businesses in the southern U.S. report backlog growth, but expect hiring freeze in the next quarter. A less publicized regional survey revealed that while order backlogs are growing, business leaders are signaling caution, potentially an early sign of investment pullback despite demand. Why it matters, this suggests a divergence. Demand-led pressure paired with investment and hiring caution could be a leading indicator of slowing growth and risk to jobs. And for the most recent economic highlights, Donald Trump and Xi Jinping summit yields a tactical U.S.-China trade truce. The U.S. leader announced a deal with China during the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Busan. The U.S. will reduce certain tariffs on Chinese imports, e.g. fentanyl-related precursor goods. And China will increase purchases of U.S. soybeans and delay new export controls. So we're trading fentanyl for soybeans now. This is the administration that threw a fit about how we needed to not be trafficking fentanyl and threw a big old fit. I don't even care, dude. I don't even care. What the fuck? Nah, this relationship with China is just some ridiculous shit show of randomness. Of Trump has pissed off China. And China has him by the cojones. That's how I see it. I mean, I don't think this is going to work out. He's going to crash the economy if the United States proceeds with these tariffs against China. Not likely to wind up continuing due to the fact that the courts are already striking down the tariffs. Tariffs, in the long run, will need to be appealed on a case-by-case basis if he continues to find loopholes to continue to introduce tariffs. Apparently, there was just a court ruling focused on IEEPA, particularly as the means through which that Trump has been introducing these tariffs. So, I mean, at least there's some good news. I don't know if the asshat's gonna find more shit that he can do with tariffs, but my AIs are alerting me that due to his patterns of behavior, it is a risk that we need to consider, maybe going on for the long term. I don't know. But I report on this all the time, and I find it very irritating seeing what this asshat is doing with these tariffs. So I just felt like I needed to clearly point out that Donald Trump is getting called out by multiple world leaders for interrupting free trade. So yeah, anyways, China is calling him out this time. This indicates a changing global trade and strategic architecture. U.S. interests in supply chains, alliances, and economic influence may face new headwinds. Thanks for ruining the economy, Trump. Glad to know none of us have a future because you want to cake the freaking White House in gold and make it look like the Kremlin while dining on some ridiculous meals using our tax dollars. Things to keep an eye on: new trade agreements involving China, U.S. bilateral responses, how multinational companies rethink production and supply chains. In Brazil, a major police operation targeting the gang Comando Vermelho in Rio de Janeiro reportedly left at least 121 people dead. That don't sound right. Yeah, that's the same country that Bolsonaro was camping out in. Man, he's really looking like shit. Now, 121 people dead in a police operation targeting the gang Comando Vermelho, with 121 people dead. How do the police wind up with 121 dead after targeting a gang? That makes, like, no sense. According to ABC, police said that at least 56 were arrested in the operation. Military, police, and Brazilian sources told ABC News they expected the death toll from the operation to climb. Burnt-ass cars in the photos here. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva was shocked by the number of deaths in the operation and surprised that an operation of this scale was undertaken without the federal government's knowledge or involvement. The operation comes ahead of major global events that are being hosted in Brazil in the coming weeks. Next week, Rio will host the C40 Summit of Global Mayors and Prince William's Earthshot Prize, bringing notable celebrities to the region. I mean, it looks to me, and it sounds to me like a terrorist attack was just carried out in Brazil. The UN Secretary General expressed concern about the large number of deaths in the operation. And that's all the information. That is very strange. I'm not going to dig deeper into that right now. But it'd be a good idea to keep an eye on Brazil. I'm going to add that to. At least 9 killed in gunman attack in Nigeria's Zamfara state. A large armed band attack in northwestern Nigeria, Zamfara state, resulted in at least 9 deaths and multiple abductions in the past 24 hours. While Nigeria has had many security incidents, this one is notable for its scale and government response implications. U.S. companies, NGOs, and military partners operating in West Africa and Nigeria use Nigeria as a regional hub. High-profile violence raises risk premiums, potential evacuation or aid emergency impact. What to watch: whether Nigerian government changes its security posture or invites external, including U.S. assistance. Any shifts in regional stability or supply chain disruptions, e.g. mining, agriculture, etc., which could be tied to insecurity. Latin America weathered latest U.S. tariffs better than feared. Region shows resilience. According to a recent analysis 21 hours ago, Latin American economies, despite new U.S. tariffs under the current administration, are showing better than expected resilience. The CAF, Development Bank of Latin America, noted export networks and trade diversification helped mitigate the blow. This indicates U.S. tariff strategy may be less effective in the region than expected, and Latin America may increasingly pivot away from exclusive U.S. dependence. That has implications for U.S. exporters, regional economic influence, and trade policy leverage. What to watch: whether Latin American governments formalize trade pivots, e.g. more deals with China and the EU, how U.S. industries react to reduced competitiveness, and whether the administration recalibrates tariff strategy in response. DR Congo's M23 rebels pledged to reach peace deal in the next month under Qatar mediation. In Central Africa, the rebel group M23 Democratic Republic of Congo signed a mediation framework in Qatar, committing to resolve a long-standing conflict in eastern DR Congo by next month. Why it matters: eastern DR Congo is a major source of critical minerals, cobalt, tantalum, used by U.S. tech and EV firms. Stabilization or failure directly affects supply chains, investment risk, and U.S. strategic metal access. Whether the peace deal holds, monitor investor confidence in Congolese mining sector, and whether U.S. firms and investors adjust risk models based on regional security developments. So then what we can see here is that Trump has now sent Qatar into 2 separate countries to engage in negotiations. And that would be Israel and whatever I just read, the Congo. So, I missed yesterday's report due to ongoing chaos, so I am going to, again, go over anything that may have been missed. Since these reports are commonly overlapping, we're going to skip anything that is not necessary. I did set up, it looks like, a full report last night and just did not get around to finishing it. I keep finding cats. I think that there's like an animal mill outside of my house somewhere. I think somebody's dumping these animals that's like breeding them and selling them. And I think because we're in an economic downturn that they're dumping these animals. And I think I should probably alert the police department to this sometime soon. I'm going to be talking to the people in the neighborhood. And that's why I missed my report. Because I ain't having these cats running around. Because I just got a rabies shot. Because one of them bit me. And there's raccoons around because neighbors be feeding these cats and then the raccoons be eating the cat food. So anyways, this is what's going on for what we missed yesterday. Alright, so the only significant thing that I'm finding that was in yesterday's report that is different from the day before yesterday as well as today. Dutch general election D66 projected to win, blocking far-right surge. In the Netherlands, the liberal progressive D66 party, led by Rob Jetten, secured the most votes in the recent general election, positioning him to become the youngest and first openly gay prime minister. The result is viewed as a setback for far-right parties, particularly Geert Wilders, PVV. Why this matters: populist politics in Europe have been gaining traction. This outcome suggests a check on far-right momentum in a major EU country, with implications for migration, EU policy, and coalition building. Coalition negotiations are something to watch. Policy shifts in housing, migration, climate under the new government, broader impact on European and far-right movements. And that concludes our news report for today. I'm going to go now. Stay safe out there. We'll see you later.
So the Olympics is great. And Johnny, for the others, you know, the World Cup, Johnny is the head of it. We had our top people, Wasserman. They all came in on the Olympics, and then I saw Johnny. And we got the World Cup too. And you know, it's only because they rigged the election that I'll be your president representing you there. You know, I got both of them. I got the Olympics and I got the World Cup. And I said, you know, it's too bad. One was in 2026 and the other was in 2028. And I said, I won't be there. I won't be your president. But then they rigged the election and now we won. So I'm going to be your president for the Olympics and for the World Cup. So, Johnny, thank you for the World Cup. And everybody, thank you for the Olympics. We're going to have a great time.
Hey guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment to my videos. And also, don't forget to check out my shop where you could get this awesome Real Patriots Punch Nazis t-shirt. America, fuck yeah! And if you go to the link tree in my bio on most platforms, it's got links to everything, all of my stuff. You can find my shop there. I'm on eBay. You can also get this cool Exterminate MAGA sticker, cause MAGA's fucking cockroaches. And fuck MAGA, abolish MAGA, fuck you MAGA.